Thanks for joining us again on the Tomahawk Show. We've got a Tomahawk alumni with us today, one of our favorite guests of all time, Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick, Cleveland Browns. How fortuitous of us to be able to get the Bake on our show during the Super Bowl, have him sit down, and now we get an opportunity to follow back up with him after being the number 1 overall pick.
Here's a little something for all you college prospects out there. Every college prospect that has joined the Tomahawk Show has gone number 1 overall. So probably put it into your routine.
I think that's a great idea. Now, let's get right into the hard-hitting questions. We had a fast food draft a couple weeks ago.
Oh, gosh.
I took a little franchise called Chick-fil-A, number 1 overall. I won handily based on the votes from Twitter. And we just want to get your take a little bit. I went Chick-fil-A, Culver's, and then a bunch of other great ones. He went with the Raisin Shop and
It wasn't a Raisin
Taco
Shop.
Bell. So I'm just curious, who do you think should be the number 1 overall fast food restaurant chain?
Not to really jump on your wagon, but I do love Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Man.
But if I had to mix it up and go with something different, I'm going to have to throw in a little curveball with either Popeyes or KFC.
Okay. He's a chicken
Popeyes
guy.
or KFC.
He's a chicken guy.
Have you ever had
chicken guy,
Raisin
yeah.
Canes?
Yes.
So you've heard of Raisin
You've heard of
Cane's?
Raisin
I know-
Cane's?
Yeah, they have Raisin Cane's down south.
You love
Texas
it?
and Oklahoma. It's
The answer is
good.
yes.
But in my dorm room when I transferred to Oklahoma,
Uh-huh.
I lived on the 6th floor and there was a Cane's at the bottom. So
Was there really?
It smelled like Cane's the whole time.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
you're
That's probably why.
a little too close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too
Have
close
you ever
to
heard
home.
of Culver's?
I just heard of Culver's this weekend.
Yeah.
So he has technically heard of it. Well,
I never had
Culver's
it,
was
though.
one of my picks. Culver's is a great place. You should definitely check it out. It's a regional thing. It started in Wisconsin, but it was real popular in the Midwest. It actually moved on into Texas, but I think you guys are more into like Whataburger.
Let's say Whataburgers,
and
yeah.
some of those
Whataburger.
other little
They didn't
franchises.
make it.
Brahms and Whataburger are down south.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a redraft with Baker because I feel like he's going to have a completely different set of restaurants, except the 5 incredible ones that I picked.
Clearly a chicken guy, but there's got to be some tacos. Being a Texas guy, there's got to be a taco
There's
place.
a place
you love.
called Torchy's Tacos
Okay.
that originated in Austin in
Oh.
a food truck.
Okay.
And it's pretty dangerous.
Is
Okay.
Chipotle fast food?
Man,
Exactly.
if
So I
Chipotle
said
was considered fast food, then I would put Chipotle at number 1. But
Chipotle's strong.
I would not put it as fast food.
I would say it's fast casual.
Yeah, it's fast casual because it doesn't.
Fast casual.
Fast
Yeah,
casual.
it's like Mission Barbecue. It's fast
Yeah.
casual, but if it doesn't have a fast
Mission Barbecue
food
shop.
drive-through, it's not fast food.
There we
then
go.
it's fast casual or it's a sit-down restaurant. But anyways, hey, I could talk about fast food all day,
Yes,
but
and you
I'm
do,
trying not to get
actually.
fatter as I sit here.
Yeah.
We had you on right before the draft. And then you ended up going number 1 overall. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But was there anything in the draft process that stood out that you really enjoyed or that really surprised you?
Or did it all suck?
Honestly, the traveling and the staying in the hotels was kind of miserable, just for
Yeah.
the most part, because I went from doing all of that, the meetings, the interviews, which once I was actually there and doing the interviews, that was fine. But then when I had to transition into doing workouts for teams, and I was so out of shape because all I was doing was sitting in hotels and they take you to a nice dinner every night and you're eating a steak. And so that was a little bit tough, realizing that time management, even though you're traveling around, you got to make sure you're doing the right things. So that was the worst part.
Well, tell me this. When we had you on at the Super Bowl, we started the Baker to Cleveland campaign. Actually, may have started long before that, but we're
Here
going
we go. Pat
to
ourselves
take
on the
claim
back.
to it because
We did
this. You're
We did
welcome,
it.
Cleveland. How early in this process did you know you were going to Cleveland? I mean, we had like 4 picks in the top 7, but even still, at what point were you like, you know what, I'm going to be a Cleveland Brown? Honestly, this is the Tomahawk Show.
I knew I had a great chance just after my visit here, and then after my workout with them in Norman.
When they told you that they were taking you number 1 overall.
They did not tell me that. They did not tell me that. No, they kept it very close to the vest. No, but about 4 days up before the draft, I had a dream because I had all my family, old coaches coming to town, and so I had a dream that literally exactly what happened on draft night, I had the dream about it. And so
Wow.
I was kind of like, wow, this is going to be pretty surreal if this actually happens. I don't know, I just had a good feeling about it.
Jeez, a pre-draft dream.
Pretty sweet.
My pre-draft dream was the exact same dream. I went undrafted, and it took me 3 years to get to the NFL. So
We
maybe
call
I
those
need
a
to-
nightmare.
Okay, is that what it was?
What were your feelings when you heard that Cleveland was going to take you and then they took you number 1 overall?
So I was a little bit skeptical about why there were rumors going around, whether they were trying to throw a little bit of cloud up and confuse some people. So I wasn't trying to get too far into it, but I had a lot of emotions. Normally, I'm not very nervous. I will just be myself. But that day, I had very few words. You could ask anybody that was around the house. I was pretty quiet, just kind of waiting to see what happened. So just a lot of emotions. But once it finally got the call and knew where I was going to be going, greatest feeling I've ever had in my life. It was such a settling feeling.
Was it like a roller coaster going through it? Because I can remember when like the Baker Mayfield train was like taking off, and even after the season, there was conversation that, oh, he might be a second rounder. Is he good enough to go in the first round, second, third rounder? So to go from there to number 1 overall, did you truly and honestly believe that was always going to be the result?
No. I believed in myself, but not once did I ever know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You set your expectations high, you have dreams, but being actual reality, that's a completely different ballgame for me.
Imagine being so good that you set a lofty goal and attain it. Like, I set lofty goals and don't come anywhere. Like, if I would have said, you know what, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going number 1 overall, the result would have been the same.
There's a difference. He has talent, and you don't have talent. So he's allowed to dream big, and you just got to go to the CFL and dream that you get to go on reality shows with Deion Sanders.
Makes sense.
Or no, it was Michael Irvin. No,
it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's your co-host.
So the Browns have Tyrod Taylor. There's a guy that they traded a third-round pick for this year to be able to bring him in here even before they drafted you. What has your relationship been like with Tyrod since you've been drafted?
First, hearing you say they traded a third-round pick for Tyrod just doesn't make any sense. We got a lot more out of that than anybody else could. The guy that he is for this franchise, for all of our teammates, is unbelievable. And so for me, to be able to watch him and learn from him, it's been great. He sets the bar high, shows up, his work ethic. It's a great situation for me to come into, to have somebody like that. But it's good for me overall.
No, I think you're right. And everyone talks about, like, and I don't know if you're familiar with the history here in Cleveland, but usually what happens, we draft a quarterback high, he's named the starter within 6 minutes, and then disaster sets in, usually, because it's tough to turn around a franchise that has had the history that Cleveland has had in recent years, and it's a lot, and it weighs on guys, and it's pressure, and there is a time frame where guys need to learn, mature, and develop. So the thing that I'm most excited about for you is that you are with a guy like Tyrod, who is a selfless guy, who has no problem teaching, because I've been on teams where that is not the case, because it's a business. Everyone's out here to make money. Everyone's out here to be a starter, but also that you get to develop. And I think the overall goal is that you get the best Baker Mayfield. So you may very well be able to go in there right now and be a playoff quarterback, right? But I think we'd all would agree, or anybody on this side of their career, that the ability to sit, watch, and learn is going to reap a lot of benefit for everybody involved. And you seem like a guy who is willing to take that on. And, I know you're competitive, but I guess what is your thought process? And when you hear that you were going to take a year at least to sit down and catch the rhythm of the game?
Before I get into that, first and foremost, I'm competitive. So human nature, just, by being a competitive football player, I want to play, yes. But I go back when I was asked this question about having to sit a year or a couple years. The best year that I had to experience in college was when I transferred from Tech to Oklahoma, and I had to sit out. There was so much growth from my freshman year to when I actually played a snap at Oklahoma. Was a completely different player.
Wow.
Just based on, I was a scout team guy. I got to go up against the Stoops family every day, against their defense, see how they coached, what they wanted. And so it's a matter of what you do with it. And so right now, how can I make myself the best player? And that's learning from Tyrod and also Drew Stanton. People forget that we brought a guy in that's had a lot of experience, been around a lot of different offensive coordinators, and also seen just a lot of the game. And so for me, being able to sit a year, I need to take advantage of that. I'm not in control of when I'm going to play, whenever that's going to be. I just need to be ready for it. And right now, that's learning from a couple guys, and then also just taking every opportunity I can to learn from defensive coordinator like Greg Williams.
Drew Stanton's an old guy like me. He actually was in my draft class, and so
Drew Stanton is
he's a guy that's played a lot of football, been with a lot of offensive coordinators, like you mentioned. Being out here, I remember when I was a rookie, playing against these NFL guys for the first time. I was the third pick, not the first pick, but I was a high draft choice. They expected me to come right in and start, and I felt like it was so big and it was almost too much for me right away in OTAs. The guys were so big and fast, the schemes were so complex, the defenses we were seeing were so different than what I saw in college. I felt like I struggled a lot that first spring. How has your first experience going against NFL defenses been? How has your first mini camp, rookie mini camp, and OTAs gone so far?
The biggest difficulty is being able to take this big playbook that I'm now having to learn and transfer it out on the field. There's just a lot more responsibility at the quarterback position, whether it's blitzes and knowing where I need to get the ball out and on time, because the windows are a lot smaller. People are just faster and know the game better. Between that and just being able to adjust, realize that I'm here for a reason. I need to believe in myself and just go play ball. And so for me, I've always had the mentality, I set my own expectations, block out everything else, and just go play. And so right now I'm trying to do the best I can, is listen to my own expectations. Because you think about it, like you said, if you try and listen to every critic or piece of advice, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah. You talk about speed, and you just missed a physical specimen at wide receiver here at Cleveland named Andrew Hawkins. But talk a little bit about Josh Gordon, who is a close second to me when it comes to the.
You guys look real similar in a towel, let me tell you.
That's what Joe, always taking it there, man. Always have to super descriptive with the guy bodies. But talk about JG, what you've seen of him this spring, and not him, Jarvis, and the receiving core in general, and the weapons that the Browns have now.
No, we got a lot of receivers that can play ball, and just Jarvis is a guy that no, he doesn't look like JG, but he has the mentality and the experience that, he just carries himself the right way. He carries himself that I'm a dog, it doesn't matter how big you are, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to beat you. And so then you look at JG, people aren't built like him very often, just to be honest. You got a 6'4" guy around 230 pounds and can run pretty fast. He's very gifted. And so right now, what we're trying to do is create consistency. Set the expectations high and then make sure we stay up there. And where we're getting guys to realize that they got to all run the routes like those guys. We got to have them all in tune and just be on the same wavelength.
I love it.
Have you had a welcome to the NFL moment yet?
Yeah, I had 3 interceptions. The first day the media were out here.
That was your welcome to the NFL moment?
No, I mean, without getting hit, I'm sure I'll have a welcome to the NFL.
I mean, the average for first-year Browns quarterbacks is like 9, so you're already
per game?
on a good pace for the first practice. But you only threw 9 interceptions? He's touchdown, Jesus. We talked about way back at the Super Bowl who was the most famous person in your phone. At the time, it was Justin Timberlake. I feel like you've only gotten more famous since then. Well, who were the famous people that you've added?
I didn't have him in my phone, did I?
Yeah, I believe who did you have in the phone?
We're just going to go with it because I can't remember.
Well, Justin Timberlake's story was when Justin seen him. It was like, Bake, what's up, bro?
Yeah, he was like, hey, buddy,
we're
long time no see.
Yeah, which is not what happens when he sees me. But I think, who was the most famous person in your phone back then? Do you remember? And who have you added?
It might have been Brett Favre. Did I
say that? It might have been Peyton Manning, too.
Yes, it was one of those.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the Brett Favre photo.
Well, this is a great transition.
Oh,
you've totally blown it by saying we didn't talk about it.
No, we didn't.
Because now we're going to talk about it.
This is how the top.
So first of all, have you added anybody more famous since then, since the draft, since going number 1?
I don't think you can really top a couple of those guys. Not really.
No.
So let's talk about the photo then, because that was one of the coolest things that happened right before the draft. Was this photo that you staged that looked just like when Brett Favre was drafted. Man. I think he was in the late first round coming out. You said privately to me a couple weeks ago that Brett Favre was the guy that you most looked up to as a kid. So how did this epic, iconic photo that you and your family recreated come about?
Well, like you said, he was my favorite, and so anything Brett Favre, our family kind of talks about, it's like, oh, look at this, the Wrangler commercial, look at him running around throwing a ball in the Wranglers, how realistic is that? Stuff like that we just always laugh about, and then when my parents saw the picture of it, we all kind of got a good laugh about it. It was like, oh, what if we did this? Like, look, who would be this? And we were just laughing, and this is months before the draft. And then as I was out in California training, and then we started talking about what we're going to do for draft night, who's going to come to town, and they started mentioning that it's going to be, we want to do the photo. And I was like, oh, whatever. Well, little did I know they had been doing some serious online shopping on Amazon Prime, having stuff shipped in.
They're like, hey, Bake, I'm going to need your credit card number for about another couple of weeks. Hope that's all right. Thanks.
Yeah, and so when I got home, I got home a week before the draft and I stayed there the whole time just to enjoy being around family. Well, boxes started coming in with wigs and shirts and wood paneling wallpaper and all this stuff, and my mom had ordered an old school cell phone, and I'm starting to look at this like, they're actually being serious about this. They're starting to put, who we want to be in this picture. So it went from being a complete joke to me showing up and them taking it and running with it.
Golly, talk about viral moments, man. Who got left out of the picture? Who was pissed that they didn't get in the picture? Because there's always somebody.
My cousins got in the next day. They couldn't make it. Actually, they got in later that night. So we took it probably about 9 p.m. They landed in Austin maybe around 11-ish. They were pretty upset there. But it was fun. It was fun.
So did Brett Favre follow up with you after you guys did that photo?
He tweeted back and said something. I don't know. He said it was nice.
He found time to get off his lawnmower to pick
say,
up
Brett
his phone.
Favre
I didn't
tweets.
know he has a Twitter account, but that's pretty cool. He's never tweeted at me.
He hit me from his burner a couple times. His burner account. When I was
Was
giving
it
some hot
at
takes on
not
NFL Live.
Brett Favre?
Yeah, this is
Four?
not Brett Favre.
So Brett Favre was your favorite quarterback growing up. Is there anybody right now in today's NFL that you try to model your game after, or anybody that you really respect?
Drew Brees. Being a guy that's not the biggest, I love watching him play. How he is so precise with every movement he does, how just in command he is with his whole team. He knows where to go with the ball, and he's just so accurate. Just a couple of those things that I really like to take pride in. He's just the best at it.
All right, well, let's go top 5. Who's your top 5 quarterbacks all time? Let's hurt some feelings, Baker. It's time.
Top 5 of all time?
Who's your GOAT? GOAT has to come off the top of the head.
Brady.
Brady. All right. So your Brady is the GOAT guy. I concur. I'm a former Patriots receiver. I don't know if you've heard that or not. But me and Brady, we had a time together, Baker. Just leave.
A long stint.
We'll leave it at that, me and that guy. Talk about chemistry. Who's your number 2?
Either Montana or Peyton Manning.
Okay. So which one? Montana or Peyton Manning?
You said top 5. You didn't
I know,
say
but I
five.
did the list.
There was no order that was
Okay, we'll go no
necessary.
order.
2A, 2B.
We know Brady's 1, right? So then we got Montana. We got Peyton 2, 3. You get 2 more.
I got to put Favre in there.
Favre 4. So who's left?
Who's 5? Who's the pinky?
We got Drew Brees.
No, Drew has not been said yet.
I know. I'm saying
Who's left?
Who's
The
left?
choices you can
Drew
go with.
Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Those would be some obvious choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could go a little bit older and start
There's
going.
going to be so many
Steve
older
Young,
generation listeners who are going to blast
Joe
over
Namath,
Marino.
Otto Graham. I mean, you got a
Yeah.
lot of old, great quarterbacks.
Marino or Elway.
Marino, Elway, yeah, geez.
And at this point, now you're just
Yeah. So
But there could
I'm
only
going to
be
just
one.
now
finish
you're
it
just
for
trying to
you.
get me to make people mad.
Yeah,
at this
I'm
point.
just going to
Piss
say, I'm
people
going to
off,
finish it
Baker.
for him and just say Drew Brees.
All
Because
right.
he said he loves Drew Brees, and Drew Brees is an all-time great quarterback. So
I'll give it to you.
We'll give it to
Peacekeeper Joe.
Yeah, there you go. So, only one more question from me. What's your plans this summer? Obviously, it's going to be a big summer for you. I know the transition from college to the NFL is tough a lot of times because in college, you spend all summer with your team, you're working out as a team, and all of a sudden now you get to the NFL and it's like, we'll see you in 6 weeks. Make sure you're ready for training camp. This is the day you show up.
Yeah.
Be in shape.
Be in shape. What is the plan for Baker Mayfield this summer?
I'm going to go back to where I did all my combine prep and everything before the draft. And then from there, now that I have my playbook and everything I need to be learning, I'm going to, mark it down on my calendar, what I need to study this week, make sure that I progress, and just don't get overwhelmed with it. I'll be able to work out. That's easy. Stay in shape. I'll have the right place to do it. I have the right people around me. But just making sure that when I get back late July, that I've closed that gap and I'm able to come in and ready to compete. And that was my goal the whole time, was really to be able to come back and level the playing field as much as I can. I'm a rookie, so level it as much as I can going in training camp.
Is there any plans for you to get together with any of the other receivers to work on timing or just throw?
We have a couple guys that trained out in California, so that'll be easy. They'll be right around there. And then as we get closer to this, we'll start nailing down some guys coming out to visit. California's got good weather.
I've heard
sure
about that.
I'm sure
I'll be
they
in
won't be
Wisconsin,
mad.
Just like Cleveland. I famously have not worked out since my last Patriots practice, which was June 9 of 2017. So the last pass I've caught from a quarterback was from Tom Brady. Not sure if you've heard of him. But I'm going to offer that if you need a very slow slot receiver to catch passes, I will be willing to
Come
break
visit.
that seal for you, Baker Mayfield.
Thank you.
Thank you
That
for
means a
joining the
lot.
Tomahawk Show.
Appreciate that, boys. Thank you.
The pleasure is all yours, bud. Joe Hawk yourself, Cleveland.